Okay, well, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. In days gone by, we used to do this actually in person. I'll be clambering into my minivan right now as I take your coffee orders. So hopefully you've got your cup of Joe or your cup of tea, and we are going to get started together. So thanks so much for being here. My name is Sharon Parento. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams, and we started doing condo tours in Richmond Hill first and then moved out to Markham, Aurora, because a lot of the people I was encountering thought that perhaps maybe condos would be in their future, but they just didn't really know what condos were like. There's a lot of preconceived notions that condos were small and boxy, and this just wasn't a suitable arrangement for them. So I took it upon myself to start organizing in-person tours so that we could see them and really get a sense of what the layouts are like, and the various amenities in the buildings, and also to be able to cost comparison, because there's quite a variety in condo land, as you're going to see. So welcome. I'm glad you're here with us today. Thank you for spending some time with us. Really want to make sure that this is as helpful as possible for you, and I welcome your questions at any time. Okay, so there is a chat box and you can type in your questions, and if I happen to miss them, I know Melissa will interrupt. Melissa is here today, our fabulous operations coordinator, and it just happens to be her birthday. So anyways, we want to wish her all the very best in the year ahead and thank her for everything that she does. I want to thank her for everything she does to make things run smoothly, including our webinar today. So when I work with clients who are interested in purchasing a condo, a lot of times we set them up on a search that tells me all about their kind of needs and wants, and we try to refine that search as much as possible, and they get an MLS sheet sent to them that looks just like this into their email. And there's quite a bit here if you unpack it, but it's all coded. It's in realtor talk. And so I want to teach you just briefly how to read MLS sheets, so that if you were to ask me to set you up on a search of Markham condos, that you'd know what you're looking at when you read these sheets. So obviously the easiest and first place that we can enter this coded message here is through the numbers, and we're looking at the list price, and in this case it's $659. It's important to distinguish between what a property is listed for and what a property is going to sell for. Now, in the detached market, there's a very prevalent practice right now of listings home artificially low, and then trying to create like an auction-like environment with multiple offers, and that bids it up, and people go a little bit nutso. I don't see that happening in York Region condos right now. For the most part, this is as much as you're going to pay, because my job as your realtor is to try to negotiate you some savings. And we're very good at negotiating literally like tens of thousands of dollars less than what it is listed for. But one of the things we also want to factor into the budget when you're thinking of making a move into a condo is the property taxes. There's a huge variation, believe it or not, between the older buildings, like the one we have pictured here, and brand new construction. In brand new construction, you are paying the full current value of property taxes, where in the older buildings, those rates were very, very low 30 years ago, and they're able to increase them by only so much. So there's a bit of a lag. People living in older condos are not paying like the full brunt of property taxes, but new condo owners are. We also want to think of the maintenance fees. And I know I own my own home, and it's freehold. I don't pay any condo fees. And this is a huge bone of contention between somebody who's used to paying for everything themselves and then making the shift to paying a condo corporation. But I just want you to remember that even in a detached home, you're paying for maintenance. It's just, we don't allocate a monthly portion of our budget and our income to that, where in a condo you have to. So what's included in this fee is going to be obviously all the exterior maintenance of the building, even things like windows and balconies and underground parking. All of that will have a replacement schedule, that's included. Any of the management fees, any of the building amenities like recreation or fitness facilities, all of that has to be taken care of. And then of course, there's going to be a certain amount that is set aside for emergencies. So all of that is included. And you're going to see also in this particular condo, there's a lot of different features like lifestyle enhancements, such as a car wash and a gym and an indoor pool. All of these things obviously have to get paid for. And so the individual unit owners pay a representative proportion of the cost to take care of all of this. Now, in this case, this building also, because it's an older condo, has all of the utilities included. So it's literally one check a month for everything. And it doesn't matter if you're here, up at the cottage, down in Florida, wherever, your place is being taken care of. And so that convenience has a price tag attached to it. So this fee is high because it's all inclusive. It's also based on the size of the unit. Okay, so what's included in that is going to add into the maintenance fee. So we also want to create a search for you if you're interested. That's based on your particular requirements for things like how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. Now, 3 bedrooms like this condo that you're seeing here are pretty rare. I'm not going to lie. They are not that common. We happen to have quite a few of them in Richmond Hill, but not so many in other neighborhoods. Mostly what we are looking at are 2 bedrooms plus a den. That's the biggest that we can find typically. And it's interesting sometimes what realtors think constitutes a den. We've literally seen it where it's like an alcove at the front door and, you know, big enough to maybe put a console table in it. And that's what's being passed as a den. Again, in the older condos, the floor plans are much more generous. And so the den is usually a proper other room that doesn't have a closet or an exterior window, and so it can't qualify as a bedroom. Lots of times we want to look for units that have a storage locker because this is very valuable off-season storage for anything from your snow tires to your Christmas decorations to your luggage, anything big and bulky that you don't want having place in your actual unit. So this is something that you can sometimes buy, believe it or not, separately from newer construction. They have them for sale. So a locker and things like underground parking. You notice that just underneath the circling there, it says exclusive. In older buildings, you don't actually own your parking spot, which is interesting. It is attached, it's tethered to your title as exclusive, but it's not a separate item. Where in downtown condos or newer construction, you can literally buy condo underground parking spots as a separate entity. They're actually on the MLS. I saw one when I was preparing this tour for you, and it was $39,000 for a parking spot. So you can see why most condos come with just one parking spot. Because when you're purchasing it new from the builder, they are an expensive upgrade. But if you need two parking spots, what do you do then? Well, sometimes you can rent them privately from other residents. Sometimes the property management knows of where you can park. Sometimes you can pay and buy them. Like it really just depends on the individual building. But we want to keep an eye on how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how much parking, even something like whether or not you want a balcony. That's super important to some people and not at all important to others. There's no right or wrong. But this is an interesting kind of defect of this form, and that is that you'll see this huge range of 200 square feet when they are adding in the notation about the size. And there's a couple of reasons for that, but mostly it's just because of how this form is created on the real estate board's website. It has a drop-down menu and you click the one that's closest to your unit size, and that's what you get. And so unless you have an agent who actually advertises, like this one did, the actual square footage, we have to do a little bit of digging. We can find it out, but it's not as readily apparent what the actual size of that unit is. So you can see that 200 square feet is a big difference. And you would want to know a little bit more accurately so that you could see if this was a good price or not, right? Compared to what else is available in the building. So then there are some other things that you can consider when you are choosing a condo. Again, no right or wrong. It's simply what is your preference. Things like, what floor do you want to be on? I have some clients who want to be under the 5th floor, some clients who want to be on the ground floor, and others who want to be up high. They want those skyline views and you know, there's advantages, right? So there's no right or wrong. It's just what you want, and we can set that up for you. There's also a gallery here of 40 pictures. That's going to give you inside the property, the unit, all of the common areas. Like, that's typically what's included. And it just gives you a better feel for how renovated it is, if it's an older building, and just kind of the layout. So that's something you can click on and see much more information than just that one thumbnail picture. Now, we do have a condo on our tour today that the direction of the unit, what we call the exposure, is actually pretty important. Lots of times we have kind of a good side of the building and a lesser side of the building. Maybe one side is right out onto Young Street and the other side overlooks the neighborhood, or one side looks at trees, the other side looks like looks at a parking lot. These can all affect the value of the unit, which is a little bit invisible. It's hard to measure, but mostly it's like the desirability of the unit. So we're going to get to that when I show you some very specific listings. Okay, so then we have the client remarks. This is all the marketing blurb that the realtor has written to tell you all the wonderful features of this unit, what's included, what's been upgraded, all of that. Okay, so we pay attention to that. And then finally, there are some things that only a realtor can help you discover, and things like the days on market. Now, this one says it's been listed for 13 days. Well, when I'm working with buyers, part of the due diligence in finding out what is a good value is to see, has this been listed before recently? And if so, what is the total number of days on market? Because you can understand that if it's been on the market 87 days, then there's something wrong with the price. That's usually the thing that fixes everything. You know, that price might not be the problem, but price is always the solution. So somebody has had this condo on the market for 87 days, and for almost 3 months, the buying consumer public has said, no, not this unit in this condition at this price. So as a realtor representing buyers, that's a great leverage for me to negotiate and say, hey, you've been on the market 87 days. Do you want to stay on the market another 87 days? If not, here's our low ball offer. And we start negotiating from something less than the listing price. So this is something I can find out for you. The other thing that you don't know, but I will know, is who is selling the property. The biggest chunk of sellers are just Mr. and Mrs. or Mr. or Miss. It's an individual, but occasionally we come across an estate sale or a bank repossession or a power of attorney. And all of those, I hate to sound like a tow truck driver, but each of those can present an opportunity to negotiate a little bit more strongly. If the property is being maintained by an estate, then they're paying these fees, they're paying these utilities, they're paying these taxes, and they might be happy for somebody to come in and close quickly, take it off their hands. So you can see how knowing who is selling and how long it's been on for sale is going to be important to us. So this is what we're going to be looking at. We're starting here, and we get to see actually 10 condos today together. Now, normally in our 2.5-hour tour, we maybe get to 6 or 8, depending how spread out they are, but we're going to get a really good overview. And you might be surprised to hear that in all of Markham, there was only 47 condos for sale. That's all sizes, all prices. There is a very tight inventory right now. So I've chosen a sample of all different types of buildings, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you now. Okay? So the first one is this property, and actually from the time that I chose it for our tour to the time that we actually did the tour, it sold. In 5 days, this sold at almost full asking. You can see that they still negotiated $4,000 off, which is not very much, only 1% of list price, but you know, hey, better $4,000 in your pocket than $4,000 in somebody else's. And now this is a very, very popular condo at Bayview and John. These are the landmark of Thornhill buildings. And this is the one that I referenced previously about the direction being important. So let's see what's inside and why I chose this. Well, first of all, this condo complex is really, really popular with my downsizing clients. It is a high rise, so it has a higher density than some of the other condos we're looking at. And I'm going to suggest that this is what you're probably thinking of when we say condo apartment, right? I think this is about 14 or 15 floors, maybe even more, but it's got a lot of units because there are 3 buildings on this huge park-like setting, which is absolutely gorgeous in the summer, so beautifully maintained. You're always seeing people out there with their little dogs or pushing a stroller or whatever. It's really, really super nice. But there are 3 buildings that all are kind of shaped like the letter Y. And so there's a lot of people living in this unit. But the big thing is it's very, very close to shopping. At John Street there's a grocery store, there's places of worship. And in this particular case, this has been mostly renovated. And like our homes, people tend to do renovations kind of piecemeal, right? So this has some renovation, and this is one of the larger units, not the largest, but as a 2+1, that's a desirable configuration. So you can see the kitchen was done, the bathrooms were not, and we have hardwood floor. So that's what I mean by something that has been moderately renovated. Now, when you purchase an older unit that's been renovated, you are accepting their renovation choices. This is not to everyone's liking. You know, you might prefer to purchase something that has not been renovated, that is a lower price, and then do it the way you like it. But this building has fantastic amenities. It's super popular. But if you look at the top right picture, you're going to see that this building faces and it actually overlooks train tracks and a grocery store parking lot. On the other side, it overlooks the Shouldes Hospital and Greenbelt, and it's really, really pretty. So I think for my money, I would rather be on the other side of this building or one of the other buildings. So there are 3 to choose from, and this is just one example of a unit in this complex, okay? So that's a sold unit. Now this is something completely different. This is a smaller 2-bedroom. It's still 2-bedroom, but it's on the ground floor. And we're going to see that being on the ground floor has some advantages, and perhaps some people are not that big of a fan of it. But what I like about this is that it does have that 2nd bedroom, and it would be perfect for a single person because of the overall size. It's not that big, but that 2nd bedroom would be a fantastic study or den or office or guest room or craft room. And you can see that the maintenance is lower because it's also newer. So this is a building that I think is pretty nice. So let's have a look at the interior pictures. There's our footprint here. I just want to see that we have the primary bedroom and a secondary bedroom kind of side by side. That's not the usual layout for a new building, but we're going to take a look at some other ones that will show you a different type of layout. So with the ground floor unit, the big advantage is you don't have to ride the elevator. You can come in from the main entrance, or you can come up from the underground parking through the stairs and not have to ride the elevator. That's an advantage for people who are concerned about COVID safety. And the other thing we have on a ground floor unit is that we actually have a terrace or a patio instead of like a typical balcony. So our next unit is another ground floor, but this one is totally different and also quite a different price point. This is actually a 2-story condo apartment that they call a condo townhouse, but it's the bottom 2 stories of a condo building. And you're going to see that this is, in my books, this is the perfect transitional property from somebody who is coming from a detached home where you're used to living on 2 stories. You're used to not having to be eyeball to eyeball with your spouse all the day. So I think this has a lot of merit because there is no maintenance. There is no snow shoveling. You've got all of the property amenities of a condo building, but in a much bigger floor plan. So the price per square foot also goes down. I just want to make sure that you know you can ask questions, okay? So if you've got questions, please type them into the chat box or unmute yourself at any point, okay? I really want to make sure that you are getting the information you need from this, okay? So let's have a look inside. Okay, so you see the bottom here, this bottom where there's kind of the wood look there, that's where people would be entering into their condo apartments from the patio, but they also can come in through the lobby and come in through the hallways, right? So this to me has a lot of appeal, especially if you were a pet owner. Can you imagine how much easier this would be to take Fido out for his daily constitutional if you didn't have to ride the elevators? Maybe you could just like lift him. I was gonna say throw him, but my dog is 60 pounds, so I'm pretty sure I'm not doing any throwing of him. But just gently lifting him over, and that would be so convenient, wouldn't it? I think actually there is a pass through where you can go, like you can walk. Let's just see. I don't think this picture shows it, but yeah, see the patio there? You can actually get out and there's a little gate. So no problems taking him out. And you can see that this is very typical of new, modern construction and style. I just want to identify some of the features. First of all, the white kitchen, the tall ceilings that are smooth with pot lights. We have laminate, probably laminate floor. I'd have to check the MLS, but wider plank, all very, very neutral. And so people bring in color with their accessories and their furnishings, not necessarily with their paint and all of that. So very, very neutral. And you see that the stairs go up to the bedroom. And I think there's actually even a little balcony off the bedroom, but I might be wrong. Okay, so this is so cool, isn't it? It's 2-story, but you don't have any work to do. Perfect. I love this idea. Now, this is completely different as a product category. This is actually a life lease. Now, up until the last couple of years, I hadn't had much experience with a life lease, but we are seeing this be a much overlooked kind of segment of the real estate, and I think it deserves some attention. So that's why we put it on the tour today. First of all, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-washroom condo that is more than 1,200 square feet, 1,241 square feet. Do you see that price? $383,900. Holy moly, this is less than half the fair market value of a standard regular condo apartment. Why? Because as a life lease, you don't actually own the unit. You have an occupancy agreement that you purchase from the corporation, the Wyndham Gardens Apartments of Unionville, and you are purchasing the right to live there for the rest of your natural life or until you can no longer live there. So this is like a timeshare, but it's for the duration of your life. So this is really super interesting. Do you notice up at the top where the property taxes are? there are no property taxes because you don't own the property. Now, we do notice that the maintenance is pretty hefty, but that includes everything, literally. You're part of a community, you're part of a retired lifestyle, and because it is a privately held, not-for-profit, they can dictate that you must be 55 years old or older to live there. Now, frankly speaking, the average age in a life lease is late 70s. I don't think there are actually too many people 55 and older living there, but as a property type, they have some major advantages. And the number one, obviously, is the price point. Now, when you decide you don't want to live there or you can no longer live there due to health or circumstances, they do have a residual value. You can bequeath it to your estate or you can sell it through the condo corporation, and they hold on to it. You know, they take a certain cut of the property, and I think it's 95% of fair market value is returned to your family, and 5% is kept as a sale administration fee. So they have some really interesting options for people who just don't have a ton of money to purchase into something, or want to do other things with their money. For example, if you sold your 4-bedroom house in Markham, you're probably looking at a sale price of a minimum of $1.1 million. Now you take the difference between that and this, and you invest it and you live off the proceeds. And that's more than enough to see you through and to top up pensions. So it's just an interesting option. I want to make sure that you know about it, and that's why we've included it on the tour. So you can see it's a pretty basic, it's not super luxurious. It does have an outdoor patio, which is nice because this is one of the top units. They are low rise, low density, and very, very quiet, peaceful places to live. Not fancy, but definitely very serviceable, and a built-in community. One of the things that I fear for my mom especially is as she gets older, becoming isolated. The nice thing about purchasing into a life lease is that you've got a ready-made community of people at the same age and stage, and they have lots of social programming, lots of different things to do when we're not in COVID lockdown. Okay, so super interesting. I thought you would like to know about this. Do you have any questions? Any questions about life leases? Okay. Now, this is the Hunt Club. My goodness, we have a lot of people interested in the Hunt Club. Regularly, people ask me to set them up on a search for this particular building. Why? Well, first of all, it's really nice. And they've just done a big overhaul of all of the common spaces, like the lobby, the elevators, all of the party room, all of that just got a cosmetic makeover. So it looks really chic, like a high-end hotel almost. And in this case, we have a view over the pond. So this is on the southwest edge of the building, which is really unique and rare and valuable. I'll show you what I mean. So this is the lobby. It got, as I said, a facelift. Everything has been updated. It's really nice. And that was such a good call on their part, because even though this building is probably 40 years old, we want it to look fresh and new so that property values are maintained. Look at the maintenance, look at the property taxes, but this is huge. It's 1,547 square feet. That's bigger by a fair chunk than the townhouse I'm sitting in right now, where I have my home office. So this is, like, again, if you calculate the price per square foot, this is very, very reasonable. So you can see the view in here would be important, and really you would appreciate it on a daily basis. What you're looking out onto, the other side of the building looks over the Walmart parking lot. Not so great. So this unit was renovated once upon a time, not super recently. You can see that we actually have real wood, not white, and that, you know, that is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that this unit isn't in the totally modern style. So some of my buyers are going to be perfectly fine with that. But look at the size of these rooms. Holy mackerel, this living room and dining room goes on forever. Now, I just want to switch back to the MLS sheet. Yes, and we had this big open balcony. That was the thing. Some of the units have a balcony, some of them don't, and you can see it there. So that's all the things that add value to this. The size, the view, the number of parking spots, the storage locker, all of this. So you can see that this is not much of a downsize for some of us. Now, in the same building, we have another unit. Now, this is a very large one bedroom. The first one we saw was 1,540 square feet in the Hunt Club. This one is a little over 1,100 square feet, and you can see that the price is quite a bit lower. The maintenance is lower. Everything is just a little bit smaller, but a fantastic opportunity to do. Hold on, I want to make sure I'm in the, yep, see the beautiful hallways? It looks just like a hotel in my view. And the amenities in this building are incredible. Everything that you would ever need for recreation and entertainment. And we even have cable and internet included in the maintenance. So literally one price per month and everything is included. Now this unit has a little different of a layout. It's more like a bungalow layout where we have the bedroom and the washroom all kind of organized on one side and the living, dining, and eating on another side. When we get into 2-bedroom condos, what you're going to notice is that in the new ones, they tend to separate them where we've got a bedroom, then the central area for eating and dining and kitchen, and then another bedroom on the other side. We call that a split layout. So I make the distinction between a bungalow layout and a split layout. And this one has much more of a house-like feel, but on a smaller scale. So the Hunt Club, I love the Hunt Club for the location, the amenities, and it does have a quieter population, very few renters in there. That's a big thing, right? That you are going to think that your neighbors who own the unit are going to tend towards being better neighbors. So all of this is there for your enjoyment. Okay, so moving on. Now, this is another ground floor unit, but it's one of the rare 3-bedrooms that was available for sale. And again, this sold from the time that I chose it and put it in our collection to the time that we are actually doing our tour. And you can see that it took only 6 days for this to sell. So a popular or kind of rare type of condo is going to sell quickly. And what's popular about this is, first of all, it is also very, very large. The price is not too high and the maintenance isn't very high, although you pay for more of your utilities. The reason the maintenance isn't as high is because, number one, this is a bit of a stripped down building. There aren't the expensive amenities like a tennis court or a concierge or any of that. It's pretty basic. But for people who have a hard time kind of reckoning with the idea of paying a maintenance fee, this is a great option. So we have 3 bedrooms, low maintenance, oops, I went backwards instead of forward, sorry. Low maintenance fee. Also, it's not a high rise, it's a low density. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like it's only 4 or 5 stories high. And you can see not super fancy, but certainly nice enough. And these rooms are very, very large in this condo. And it includes even a laundry room, not just like a closet. It's actually a separate room. So they've got quite a bit of furniture in here. The kitchen is ginormous, far bigger than you actually need. And they have a nice balcony that overlooks a ravine. So you can see that there are some value options available even in the 3-bedroom category. So certainly a very good option for somebody who wants to have that spare bedroom or a work from home space, or even just a second TV viewing room, you know, like his and her TVs. like my parents. It's so funny. He's got golf, she's got HGTV. Everybody's happy on a Sunday afternoon. So there we go. 3-bedroom, low maintenance, low density, ground floor unit. Oh, this is my favorite condo building in all of Markham, Stollery Pond. It is such a beautiful building. And we actually just sold a unit in here last year to our downsizer from Unionville. And like this unit, his unit overlooks the golf course, which is so, so nice. He doesn't even play golf, but every morning he wakes up, he can throw back his patio doors and you can actually hear a little creek in the summertime trickling away. And there are, you know, nothing but green spaces to view. So I sent him this because this now is higher than what he paid. And although he's only been in there 6 months or so, this is going to be a really good investment over the long haul because luxury buildings hold their own. We've got a few luxury buildings in Markham. We've got a few luxury buildings in Richmond Hill and Aurora, and they're always in demand. So even though this isn't a huge unit, it's almost $1 million, which is at the top end of what I usually search for. And it's primarily because of this building. Everything about this building is deluxe. And it's all standard. Like these, I don't think there are too many upgrades in this particular unit. The hardwood floor, the quartz countertops, the nice tall cabinets that go right up to the ceiling so that you've got maximum storage. Even things like the dishwasher and the refrigerator are shrouded, like they have a cabinet over them. So they are very, very smooth, seamless lines and such good construction, like really, really well built, well maintained. And the lobby and the amenities are really beautiful, really, really beautiful. So this is like an experience living in this building. And, you know, my client was so funny. He said, I'm just a small town boy from Timmins and look what I get to live in. Look what I get to retire in. And he was very, almost overwhelmed at how lovely this building is and how happy he was to be in it. So this is our property of the week. I love this building and I can recommend it highly. Very well maintained and also managed. So that's an important feature because when you're buying into a condo, you're not only just buying your unit, you're buying into a corporation and you want to make sure that it's been well maintained. And I know that this one is well maintained and well managed. Okay, so this is another type of property that you might not have considered as a condo, but it is. It's a condo townhouse. And in this case, it's a bungalow. So how great is that? This is like a little mini house that you don't have to do any work on except for inside. Isn't that perfect? So you've got your own private garage. You've got a patio in the front, out your kitchen, you've got a deck out the back, and you are in Swan Lake. So Swan Lake, if you've ever been there, has just an incredible recreation complex. Every one of the little communities, every one of the little, yeah, it's like it's divided into a bunch of little communities, and every one of them has its own recreation center. And then there's one huge one called Club Swan, and it's a gated community, so good security. You see lots of people out there walking and talking, and they've got their dogs and all that. So I love this idea. You can see that the thing that distinguishes Swan Lake is that there is so much green all around it. This was built at a time when land was relatively cheap. They've spread it out over several acres, and so every place has a little bit of green that you can enjoy. And for me, that's super important. Now, this is also a 2+1. And the maintenance includes your access to all the recreation facilities, and everything is taken care of on the outside of the property. So last year when we were, year and a half ago, I was looking with a client in this area, and we noticed that everybody was getting new decks in one segment of the area. And so they go through and they make sure that the parking, like the visitor parking, the decks, the fences, the roofs, the windows, everything is on a schedule of being replaced. So it's really, really pristine in there. So that's very cool. Now, they do have an occupancy limit to 2 adults. They don't have an age limit. People think that they're a 55 plus community. They're not. They're actually not. But you sign an occupancy agreement saying that there will only be 2 adults and that you won't rent out your basement or anything like that. The only exception being if you need to have a full-time live-in caregiver. That's the only exception, or if you have a disabled adult child, or that's the only. So you can see that it tends towards older people just because it's only two adults, no children. So I love this. I think this is great. And you can see that these are, again, larger units, some of which have been renovated. But I find that in this complex, they're kind of renovated a bit like piecemeal, like I said. So we'll have the kitchen, but not the bathrooms, or we'll have hardwood floor, but there's still the kitchen, like, you know, that's what people do living on a fixed income. But you can see that this is really a fabulous lifestyle choice. You know what's very cool too about these is that they have a basement. So if you've wondered where you're going to put some of your surplus belongings, they have a basement that can either be finished as extra living space or another bedroom, or it can be just, you know, for your stuff. Okay, so love this. I love Swan Lake. And then at a totally different price point, so 600 to 900, $350,000 less is an apartment in the same complex. So this is a 2-bedroom, 2-washroom condo, and you can see that it says under last status, it says SC, that's sold conditionally. And the condition at the bottom, if you go right down the page to the bottom, it says that it's conditional upon financing and the status certificate. So what that means is that whoever has purchased this has been purchased with a condition of financing. Somebody has to apply for a mortgage. The other thing is they want their lawyer to review the status certificate. And I'm going to tell you that every condo we purchase conditional upon a lawyer reviewing the status certificate, even if we don't need anything else. If we don't want to do a home inspection or we don't want to do a mortgage application, we always look at the status certificate, because this is about 100 pages of documents, and it includes the operating budget for the current year, the previous audits of the corporation, all of the rules and regulations, and it will also reveal if there is any outstanding lawsuits or claims, or if they are anticipating a major hike in the maintenance fees. So all of this has to be revealed ahead of time, and your lawyer goes through. And personally, I've never had a condo purchase be squashed because of the condo status certificate, but we have had things that kind of came up as a question, and once we got those questions answered, you know, we were free to proceed. But it is really a good safety feature for purchasing a condo. And when this was built, there was a height restriction in Markham, so these are only 4 stories high, and you can see, like I said before, they really have tons of green around them. Very, very private. This is an estate sale. And in this complex, this is pretty much the only way we can come across units, is when somebody passes on. I was going to say, yeah, they pass on, or they go off to a retirement community like a nursing home or whatever, which very conveniently is right across the street. There's an Amica Swan Lake there, and so I think people literally just like carry their suitcase across the road and check in. So this, to me, there aren't great pictures, I'm going to say. Like, I wanted to show you the price comparison to an apartment versus a townhouse in the same complex, but there aren't great pictures. So I'm not even sure what Melissa was able to gather for us. So the library there is a common area. Like, there's a lot of nice clubs, and they do things like bus tours down to Niagara when everything is safe. But you can see that what they did was they renovated by putting in hardwood floors and doing a nice paint job, but the rest of it is pretty pretty standard fare for condo living. What are you purchasing? You're purchasing a place in a community, which is a terrific option for some people. Okay, so that is the boardwalk at 50 the boardwalk at our favorite place. I'm just going to mute myself while I clear my throat. Please don't forget about the chat box. I'd love to take your questions about condos. I've been in this complex numerous times, and one time we were there and it was right around Thanksgiving, and they were organizing a potluck Thanksgiving dinner, which I just thought, hey, how can I get in on that? So nice place to live for sure. Now, you know, we've seen 10 condos. We have seen properties that are on ground floor, that are bungalows, that are standard apartments in high rise and low rise, everything. I really tried to give you a cross section of what's available. But the biggest question that a lot of people have is, well, how much is my house worth? Because I want to make sure that there's a big enough chunk left over between selling my house and purchasing a condo, right? So that's one of the offers that I can give to you. And this is not like some like guesstimate. This is actual hard data that I research for you. I pull up everything in your neighborhood that is sold. You can see what they are like inside, and that way you can kind of evaluate yourself relative to those other properties. So this is something that is a natural next step for you, is to say, well, what's my house worth, so that I can know how much I can spend and still have something left over. So yes, Paul, the Swan Lakes do have elevators. Yes, definitely they do. So any of them over a certain height have elevators. But again, sometimes we are looking for a ground floor unit so that you can just completely bypass that. It's really important to know, what is the pet policy? What is the smoking policy? Do they allow barbecues? These are the kinds of things that we have to find out for you secondarily to all of the other basic requirements. Okay, so this is what we give to you. We give you a report based on your home. It's multiple pages, and you can definitely reach out to us and we'll prepare that for you and send it off to you by email. And oh, there we go. We also have a bunch of other webinars coming up in our month of March. Okay, so another question that's commonly asked is, what should I be doing to prepare my home for sale 12 to 24 months from now? Or another way to say the same question is what are the things I can do now to help resale the value, help increase the resale value? So we have a webinar dedicated to that, where we're going to give you some ideas, some budget sheets, some sources, and just tell you the things that we think are the most important for getting your home ready for sale, if your primary goal is to fetch the highest possible price. And you might actually be surprised that I don't often suggest that you do big things. And I'll share my reasons why. I'm going to share my mindset and what I think buyers are after these days. Then, of course, we also have our decluttering battle plan. This is one of our really anchor features that we love to offer. We do it as often as we can because it's so critically important to, first of all, enjoying the home you're in as long as you're in it. Number two, it really adds tremendously to the saleability of your property if we declutter it. Now, I don't want to discount the importance of doing renovations, but if you were just to declutter your home and to sell it that way, you will really net a good end result, which is all what we're about. We're about providing you with timely real estate information so that you can make a good decision about your particular situation. This is a very kind of high-level discussion that we will help you to apply to your situation when the time is right. Okay, so you can come back and join us. We do it again. Maintenance, comparing all-inclusive versus paying heat or hydro maintenance fees. How to compare what would be the considerations to pay individual services. Okay, so all-inclusive maintenance generally results from them having like one big boiler system where everybody has a bulk rate for heat, hydro, water, and sewer. The one utility that we find is segmented out and paid for individually is hydro. That's the one. And you can understand that with a single person in a home or in a condo or a couple, your electricity consumption is very, very low typically. And so that fee is going to be probably your total utility bills will be less than $100. If it is hydro and water, that's kind of what you want to think about. So most condos include all the water. Like I said, the one that really gets to be separated out is hydro, and that's not very expensive. So heat or hydro and maintenance fee. How to compare what would be the considerations to pay individual services. Well, I guess just mentally, you look at the maintenance fee and then you tack on $80. That's the way I think I'd look at it. It's simply a budgeting problem at that point, or a budgeting issue. If you're paying one check, I guess there's some convenience there that you're not having to worry about anything, and you know, you can just be off and about, and you're not having to worry about utility bills coming in separately. So I think that for some people, it's also a little bit of an issue that I only want to pay for what I use. And are my fees higher than they should be because other people are not economical? And if I'm having to pay into a slush fund, maybe there's some abuses. I don't think that's the majority of people's thinking, but that is some people's consideration that I've had. So I'm not sure that I answered your question. I hope I did. So it's really just strictly a matter of factoring it in when you are doing your monthly budget. Okay. Now, we are all over social media. This is something we're really good at. You can find out about any of our events on our website, and you can join us there. We're also on Facebook, on Instagram, and LinkedIn. So we really like to spread the news. I would encourage you to share our services with your friends who might be also in the same situation. Please spread the word. We really appreciate those recommendations and referrals. So I hope to see you out at one of our upcoming events. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Melissa and I team up to make these, and I hope you have found this helpful. I look forward to having you all back in my minivan and that we go out and we see these things. But strictly from a practicality standpoint, being able to see 10 condos is pretty amazing. So I'm glad that you were here. Thank you for joining us. It's been my pleasure to prepare and present this to you. If you have specific questions that occur to you after, I hope you'll reach out, and I look forward to staying in touch with you. And hopefully the next time we have one, you can come back and see us. I think we rotate through Richmond Hill, Markham, Aurora, and I'm getting to be more and more interested in Newmarket. Some very good value there. What time and when is the next seminar? Next seminar, let me pull out my handy dandy notebook. Next seminar will be off the 10th, that's Wednesday, and that will be our best renovations for return on investment part 1. I don't know if we have a condo tour scheduled or not. We usually do them right at the end of the week, at the end of the month. Okay, so we're gonna do best renovations 1, best renovations 2, decluttering 1, decluttering 2 on the 4 following Wednesdays after this week. Okay. Oh, our condo tour, says Melissa, will be April 30th. Terrific. And oh, for an Aurora and Newmarket. See, she's the one who keeps me on the straight and narrow. So terrific. I'll look forward to looking at those areas with you. Some of my favorite condos are in Aurora. So I hope you'll come back. Okie dokie. Any questions? This is great. I enjoyed it. I always enjoy doing these because it helps me to keep my eye on the market. And, you know, otherwise, when would I spend time, you know, looking at all these different condos and choosing them and thinking about them? So I really enjoy doing these. They're a ton of work for poor Melissa, but I know that she sees the value in doing them too, because we always want to be giving good information. Okie dokie. Oh, there's the link. Awesome. Okay. Thanks for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll look forward to being a little bit warmer next week. Okay. Thanks so much. Bye for now.